Hi class, welcome to Business 20 Introduction to Business. In today's lecture, we'll go over business in a global environment. Our learning objectives are identify what a multinational company is, also known as MNC, define the dynamics of a world trade today, identify barriers to international business, explain how companies enter the international market through licensing agreements or franchises. Globalization is the interconnectedness of economies, cultures, and societies worldwide. It has led to increased trade, investment, and communication. The impacts of globalization are one, economic growth. Globalization has led to economic growth by expanding markets, fostering competition, and promoting innovation. Two, job creation. Companies operating in global markets create jobs in various sectors, contributing to employment opportunities worldwide. Three, culture exchange. Globalization fosters culture exchange by promoting travel, tourism, and the spread of ideas across borders. Four, environmental challenges. Globalization can contribute to environmental challenges due to increased production and consumption. Importing and exporting. Importing is buying goods and services from other countries. Why do they do this? A country or business purchases products from abroad to meet local demand or to gain access to resources that are not available domestically. The economic impact of this of imports can satisfy domestic demand, but excessive reliance on imports can lead to trade deficiencies. That's when a country imports are more than its exports. So an example of this is the United States imports electronics such as smartphones, your laptops, and televisions from countries like China and South Korea. Okay, now exporting means selling goods and services to other nations. Countries do this, or businesses produce goods locally and sells them to other countries to expand its market reach or increase sales. The economic impact of exports contribute to economic growth, generate income for businesses, and improve countries' trade balance, which is exports exceeding imports can lead to trade surplus. Let's dive into absolute and comparative advantages. A country has an absolute advantage when it can produce more of a good or service using the same amount of resources or can produce the same amount of good using fewer resources. Absolute advantage focuses on productivity and efficiency. It is about being the best at producing a good compared to others. A country has a comparative advantage when it can produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost than another country, even if it does not have absolute advantage in producing a good. Comparative advantage emphasizes opportunity cost rather than overall efficiency. A country should specialize in producing goods for which it has the lowest opportunity cost and trade for goods that are more costly for it to be produced. Multinational corporations are companies that have business operations in at least one country other than its home country and generate revenue outside of its home country. So let's take Microsoft, for example. Their headquarters are in Redmond, Washington, but they have offices in over 100 countries. Apple headquarters are located in Cupertino, California, and they have international office which include in Singapore, London, and Munich. Amazon's headquarters are located in Seattle, Washington, and they operate in several countries. Nestle operates in more than 188 countries. How companies enter the international market. One way that companies enter the international market is through licensing agreements, which are an international license agreement permits a foreign company, which is known as the licensee, to sell the products of a producer, known as the licensor, to use its intellectual property, such as patents, trademarks, or copyrights, in return for royalty fees. Now, the second way is through franchises. In an international franchise arrangement, a company, the franchisor, gives a foreign company, the franchisee, the right to use its brand name and offer its products or services. While the franchisee manages day-to-day operations, they must follow the business model set up by the franchisor. In exchange, the franchisor typically provides support, including advertising, training, and product development. Some of the advantages of having a franchise is that you're able to obtain experience, and the marketing's already developed, and sometimes even financial help from the parent franchisor. When doing franchises, the franchisor the franchisor is well known. The name is well known, but you own the outlet and therefore the profits are yours. The last advantage is franchisors grows using other people's money. Some of the disadvantages of having a franchise is that it's a big upfront investment in time and money. You share profits through the royalties. So some of the mistakes of other franchises holders might affect or impact the whole chain, and there might be selling restrictions or company regulations that won't allow you to sell in certain countries. Foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, refers to the investment made by a company or individual from one country into a business located in another country. Unlike portfolio investments, where investors simply purchase shares or bonds of foreign companies, FDI involves a significant degree of influence and control over the foreign business operations. This often means that the investor has a long-term earned interest and active role in management of the foreign enterprise. Some key features of FDI are you have control and ownership. In FDI, the investor usually acquires at least 10% of ownership in the foreign company, giving them a degree of control or influence over its management. It is a long-term investment. FDI is typically a long-term commitment to invest in the develop a business abroad, often involving the creations of new facilities, expansions of existing operations, or mergers and acquisitions. The types of FDI are greenfield investments, which is establishing a new business or facilities in a foreign country from the ground up. Mergers and acquisitions, acquiring or merging with an existing foreign company to gain access to new markets. Joint ventures, partnering with the local company and foreign country to share the resources and knowledge. An example of FDI is Tesla, setting up a factory in Mexico to produce vehicles. This investment will provide jobs, introduce new technologies, and integrate the foreign company into global supply chain. Challenges of international business. The first challenge is culture barriers, such as the language, customs, nonverbal cues, communication etiquette, and social norms can create significant hurdles. Companies need to adapt their products, marketing, and communication strategies to cater to local preferences. Second is political and economic risk. Um, the companies face can face political instability, currency fluctuations, and trade barriers. Each country has its own set of laws and regulations governing business practices, intellectual property, labor laws, and taxes. It is crucial to conduct thorough risk assessment and implement contingency plans. Lastly is competitive landscape. Competition in a global market is intense. Companies must differentiate their products, services, and brand to succeed in a crowded marketplace. Businesses must keep in mind that they are competing with both local businesses and in foreign markets and other international firms. Trade controls are government-imposed regulations that manage and restrict the full flow of goods and services across the international borders. They are used to protect domestic industries, balance trade, or achieve political goals. Some common examples of trade controls are one, tariffs, which is taxes imposed on imported goods, making them more expensive for consumers in domestic market. Two is quotas, which limits on the quantity of specific good that can be imported and exported during a certain time period. Three is embargoes, a complete ban on trade with a specific country, usually for political reasons. Four is subsidies, financial aid provided by government to domestic industries to make them more competitive against foreign imports. Six is exchange control, regulations that limit the amount of foreign currency that can be bought or sold, restricting international trade. And six is sanctions, penalties, restrictions on trade imposed by one or more country against another for political or government reasons. Okay, that's all for today's lecture. Thank you for joining.